Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of this Driving the World podcast. I'm your host, Jared Scott, and today I have with me Don Congdon. Welcome to the show, Don.
Thanks, Jared. Always nice to be on the podcast.
Yeah, you're becoming a familiar face. Nothing wrong with that. But
yes.
Today we're going to be talking about what I would like to say is controlling the chaos of cables and cabinets.
Yes.
And so we're going to talk about something revolutionary that SEW-EURODRIVE has, and that is a one cable, I'll call it one cable revolution in drive technology. Maybe that sounds a little buzzy, but that's kind of what we're talking about, aren't we?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so we refer to it as MOVILINK DDI, or MOVILINK, which is digital drive interface, I believe.
Or digital data interface.
Okay.
I've heard it called both.
Sure. So we may say DDI, and just so everybody knows, that's what we're really referring to. What is that? If you were going to just break it down, what are we talking about?
Okay, well, MOVILINK DDI is really two things. One, it's a physical thing. It's a special single cable solution that goes between a motor and a variable frequency drive. We sometimes call this a hybrid cable. Both names pretty much mean the same thing, one cable for everything. That's part of it. The other part is what's traveling through that cable besides the usual things like power and brake control and temperature control, and that is a digital data stream. That digital data stream makes some very exciting things happen, which we can explore as we go deeper into this.
Okay, so I got to back up. I'm thinking about the way I traditionally see a cabinet. You know, you open up a control cabinet, you have some VFDs in there, doesn't matter which type they are, and you see like the green cable going in, or whatever color you like to call it, and you got that's your encoder cable, and then you've got your power cable, and you got another cable, and then you've got communication going between it and say your other controllers. And you've probably seen it, and people that are listening in have probably seen it too. It looks like someone just shoved a big plate of spaghetti in there. And
That's a good way of putting it.
Hopefully you can find like a little LED in there that tells you exactly what's going on with the drive itself.
Right.
So we're cleaning all that up. We're talking about this one cable, and it has multiple cables within that one cable. But
right.
How does all that work?
Okay, well, let's go back to what you said, the classic way of doing things. If you open up a control cabinet with a variable frequency drive wired up to a motor in a traditional setting, you're going to see several things. First of all, you're going to see power wires going off between the VFD and the motor. Now, there will be 3 wires for the 3 phases plus 1 for ground, so there's 4 wires for that. If the motor has a brake, and many of them do, there will be several wires to control the brake. If the motor has some kind of thermal protection, a temperature sensor, there will probably be at least 2 wires for that. So that's just the basic things to make the motor run. If you've got a feedback device on the motor, an encoder or a resolver, which provides speed or position feedback, then it's going to probably have a dedicated cable all of its own carrying those signals. So you've got a lot of wires going between your motor and your VFD in a traditional setting.
I gotcha.
So MOVILINK DDI, using our hybrid cable, and I'm going to point out we've got one sitting here on the table for those of you who are watching this. This is a MOVILINK DDI cable. It's a little thinner than a garden hose. It contains all those wires. So it's not that the wires go away, but they're all in one place now. But there's one extra wire in there that's special. It's purple, and it's got a little red connector here on the end of it. That is a special data cable that carries digital communications between the motor and the VFD. That's the digital data stream cable. So we're really gaining 2 things with MOVILINK DDI. We're combining all the standard wires in one place, and we're adding that one extra cable that gives us that extra information that's communicated digitally between the VFD and the motor.
I see. Now, part of me would want to say that you put a lot of stuff in a small piece of equipment, or in this case, something that's about the diameter of less than maybe a garden hose. There's some complexity there.
Yes.
But then the other part of me says it's pretty complex when you've got to connect all these wires individually into, say, a system with a brake encoder, VFD, so on and so forth. And so you're running all these cables, and you've got these great distances that are involved too sometimes. So talk about, or help me to understand, what maybe is an additional benefit for this particular cable design when it comes to just install and maintenance and how that works with our product?
Well, I'd say you can sum it up in one word: simplicity. Yes, the inside of the cable isn't simple. There's a lot in there. But the advantages, in most cases, it'll be connectorized, maybe both ends, maybe just one. And all you have to do is make those connections between the motor and the VFD, and you're connected and ready to run. So your installation time is going to go down. You're not going to have as many mistakes during installation because you're not hooking up a lot of individual wires. If you have to do some maintenance work, swap out that motor, it's going to be quicker. And if you go with the connectorized choice, anybody can swap out a motor. You don't have to be a licensed electrician allowed to go inside the conduit box and disconnect wires. You're just disconnecting a connector, you're swapping the motor, you're plugging another one in, and you're putting the connector back. So you're gaining in lots of little places. You're picking up little chunks of time all over the place in your day-to-day life, and that's going to add up to a lot over the life of the application.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm thinking about, if you were wiring a house, you need a certified electrician to do that.
Yes.
But I don't have to call an electrician if I want to plug in a power cable into my outlet so that I can say, run the vacuum cleaner, right?
Yeah, good analogy.
Yeah. I was like, so if that vacuum cleaner died and I get a new vacuum cleaner, I just plug it in, right?
Yes.
Now, I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but I'm
Right.
also thinking there's something else with this technology that we could kind of almost call it plug and play.
Yes.
So what is that about when it comes to this?
All right. Well, if you've ever commissioned a VFD and a motor the old way, you get it all wired up, then you go into the software, the front panel, the keypad, however you're doing it, and you've got to enter a lot of information from the motor. You have to enter the voltage, the current, the power factor, the frequency, the nominal speed. You have to enter all those things off the physical nameplate on the motor. That tells the VFD the motor's capabilities so it can operate it. Well, the advantage of MOVILINK DDI is that digital data stream, because one of the things that's built into the motor is something we call an electronic nameplate, or some people call it an electronic label. It's the equivalent of that physical nameplate bolted onto the motor housing. As soon as you plug your motor into your VFD, it can read that and essentially do a lot of the commissioning steps automatically. So yes, it is almost like a plug and play motor. The VFD commissions itself from that nameplate, and maybe you just do a quick look through to make sure it all looks right and say, yeah, go ahead, and you're ready to roll. So that's a time saver.
Absolutely. And I'd also think, usually when you're doing a replacement, that means there's downtime, you're worried about costs. If I can get something up and running quickly, I've saved money.
Absolutely.
And I don't know about you, but if I feel pressure, it makes it a little more difficult to type in all those numbers into your software. Whereas if you don't have to do as much of that, man, I really like where this is going. So,
yes,
I'm not trying to make this some pipe dream where everything's perfect, but let's talk about maybe this isn't for every application, or it could be used maybe for every application, but where would you say is a sweet spot for using this type of cable technology?
Well, the place it's really going to pay off is if you have a lot of motors, a lot of VFDs, because you're getting those little pieces of time back for each one of those. So if you have an operation with a lot of motors, like a logistics center with a lot of conveyors, an airport with a lot of baggage return conveyors, any kind of situation where you have many repeating components, this is a good place for MOVILINK DDI, because all those cables are being divided down into just one hybrid cable for each motor. You've got those connectors. You've got that semi-automatic commissioning. So you're picking up just time everywhere. And you're also eliminating mistakes, because a lot of the mistakes with the classic way of doing it go away. You don't have the wiring errors that people make when they're under pressure. As you say, during commissioning, when you're typing in the nameplate, that's taken out of the equation. So you're going to have fewer mistakes. Again, that's a time savings right there. So lots of little bits of time adding up over maybe thousands of units translates to hours and hours and hours of time saved. And that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that is. So the investment in the cable, because I mean, let's be honest, I know it's going to cost more than just plain old cables, but that's a one-time expenditure versus
Yes.
maintenance and upkeep and all those things are going to be continual. So
Yes,
definitely a
very
cost
true.
savings benefit for the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I would just say, looking at the big picture, if you just had one last little couple of sentence pitch for why should I start using the MOVILINK DDI single cable for my products?
Well, let me tell you a little bit more about what else is traveling over that special cable and that digital data stream. We've talked about the motor nameplate, but there's a lot of other information that can travel over there if your motor's equipped. For example, if it's got an encoder, a DDI compatible encoder, it will use the digital data stream path to send the encoder data to VFD. So you get that. If you have the right kind of temperature sensors in the motor, they will send their data over the MOVILINK DDI communications path. If you have other sensors, vibration sensors, brake condition monitoring, things that can monitor the motor's performance, you have all this information being communicated to the VFD, and that potentially can lead to things like predictive and preventative maintenance solutions, the Internet of Things, Industry 4.0
Wow.
capabilities, all these exciting things we've been talking about for years that are now really starting to come true finally, including tools like MOVILINK DDI, which is helping that. So you're gaining a lot of extra things just besides your really basic get the motor up and running. Digital data streams are powerful, and that cable can carry them all.
Wow. It's almost like its own neural network, or
Yeah.
we call it our spinal column in the nervous system, and it's all
Yes.
communicating to the brain.
Yes.
But we need to know those things, and those things are becoming more and more prevalent, and this enables customers to be able to get that information in an easy way.
Yes, indeed.
Well, I thank you a lot for your time today and helping us to see that. And if you want to know more about this technology, then I encourage you to please visit our website, SEW-EURODRIVE.com. If you look at our product page, you can look up the MOVILINK DDI product page that's specific to that, and it'll give you all the information you need. And then, of course, we have great individuals like Don and others that can help you learn more about this, and even your local sales reps can point you in the right direction if you'd like to know more about this. So until next time, we look forward to talking to you then. This is Jared. Don, thanks again for joining us. We'll see you around.